Welcome to the Echoes of Enlightenment podcast, where we talk about spirituality, spiritual awakenings, life lessons, and overall self-development. In this episode, we'll be talking about how the rabbit hole runs deep. In this life, we realize that we've came from somewhere, and we also know that we'll be going somewhere. And in our present moment, this is our life. And what I've come to realize is that there's been a big misunderstanding on the importance of spirituality in our lives. I come to believe that it's 50-50. We need 50% spirituality and 50% our present reality. Because if you think about it, as we know, there's nothing before we were born. Or there's the spiritual world that we came from, and then the spark of life, and then we're born. Then we live our life, and then it goes back to the beginning, goes back to the spiritual world again after our life. But what we've been taught is once we come into this world, we're coming from the darkness, not the darkness, but we're coming from the nothingness. And we just say that that's just black. We say it's black, coming from black. And then our life starts and it's just white. And then after our life ends, then it's back dark again. But that's not correct. Because what that's proving is that once we come onto earth, or once we're born, that the spiritual side, or wherever we came from, is just absent. Until we leave this earth. And then it comes back. And then we go somewhere else. The way it's supposed to be used is when it's black, you come into this world, it should be gray. It should turn gray. Because you're still using half of where you came from before you came to this earth. So you're using half spirituality from where you came from, and then you're using the other 50% of what this earth is about, the physical world. Because if you look at it from this angle, think about VR glasses. When you put VR glasses on, you're stepping into a different world and blocking out the rest of the world. Because the VR glasses provide you with a world of its own, and then blocks you out of the real world that you're currently in. And there's no possible way to navigate that, because you need both worlds to pretty much exist at the same time. So what I'm trying to say is this world should be like AR glasses, augmented reality, where you can see the real world, but you're also in an interactive world with your spiritual world. You should be using both of them at the exact same time to help you navigate at the highest level. Because why would you block out one or the other? You can't be in your spiritual world 100% and block out your everyday life. But then you can't block out your spiritual world and only live in your everyday life. They both work hand in hand. When you use one or the other, it's like driving a $250,000 Mercedes Maybach and not using any of the bells and whistles. You're only driving the car because you know it's a car, but you're not using any of the special features that it comes with to help you navigate the road and to make you feel more comfortable. And that's exactly what it's like when you block out your spirituality. It's like you have a $250,000 Mercedes with all the bells and whistles, but you're not using the heated steering wheel, heated seats, heated armrest, super Wi-Fi, or just whatever it has that's special. You're not using all that. So you're not getting the best benefit out of the experience. And that also kind of makes sense why people are scared of transitioning or dying. Because if you come into this world and it's black, and then once you're born, then it's a whole, white, it's a whole different thing. Of course you're going to be scared of dying. Because you think you're just going to fall off into the abyss. But if you actually realize, when we're born, we should be halfway. When you're born, we should be half in and half spiritual, half in the real world. And if you're connected to the spiritual world, there's nothing to be afraid about that. Because after your body disintegrates, after, you're done on this planet, you should already be halfway comfortable with the spiritual world and realize that there's nothing to be afraid of. And if you know that would change your whole experience on earth. You would actually be able to enjoy this place. You would be a lot more lighthearted. You wouldn't be as afraid of everything. And if everybody was like that, half in spiritual, half in the physical reality, the world would be more in tune. Just think about it. How does a piano sounds beautiful when it's in tune with all the different keys that it has? When it's in tune, it sounds beautiful. But when it's out of tune, you cannot stand it. You can't stand to listen to it. And that's pretty much where we are. We're out of tune here. Many people think that it's one way or the other, but it's actually both. So I thought I would just come on and talk about the importance of how the reality is actually 50-50. And another little part is maybe you've tried virtual reality glasses before, or maybe you haven't, but when you put them on, you can still see a little bit of the real world out the bottom. If you look down, you can kind of still see that you're in the real world, but you will get sucked in by the experience of the screen in front of you until you look down and you're like, oh yeah, I'm back. That little sliver of light of the real world is the sliver of spirituality that we notice from the physical world, that little bit. But eventually, once you try on the AR glasses and realize that the AR, augmented reality glasses, is that you can still see the real world, but you can still get notifications, from your phone. You can still work on projects in virtual reality, but still see your interact with your physical world. And that's the most convenient. You want to be able to walk around and also use the technology at the same time. Now let's just let's take off the augmented glasses, take off the virtual reality, and use our spirituality as an augmented reality, and also walk around and use it during our physical world. That's how you would have the best experience, because we're guided. If you tap into the spiritual world and realize that you have guardian angels, there's a higher power that's willing to work with you and help you through this journey. That's a way better experience. But it's a tough experience if you cut out half of that. But I'm going to end this episode right here. Until next time.